You're on.
Would anyone like, please have the chance.
Okay, hi everybody. So Melissa's handing out a few sheets to people in the room. Hi everybody out there. Hi. And we're starting tonight. I'm going to welcome, I love that we have a group of people here, some of whom had never done yoga nidra, never had acupuncture, and I hit you with the double whammy of both tonight. Double indoctrination into my lineages. And for people joining us now in our satsang, this is a really interesting time. And I think we are an organization now. We're the Lotus Way. We're a nonprofit organization. We're officially becoming a 501c3, a church, the healthcare ministry. We have a board of directors now and a whole lot of cool things going on. And I'm glad we kind of got all that in place before this week. Because this week Mercury went into retrograde. And I completely hold space for people who that means nothing to or thinks that it's rubbish. That's totally fine. I think a part of me almost wants to think that, and other than the fact that the world doesn't seem to let me because it kicks our butts in these kind of time. So I thought I would talk a little bit about that, about Mercury retrograde. And before I do that, I do want to remember to make a few amazing announcements, because I know I'll forget as soon as I start retrograding. Communication gets lost during Mercury retrograde. So this Saturday we're doing a meet and greet open house in this space here in West Virginia for a few of our board directors are going to be here, and we're going to be offering complimentary services and have a computer out to be able to help people navigate around. Anyone who's interested, we have a 200-hour yoga teacher training coming up starting in April, which is really exciting, with Erica Lawrenson, who I could talk for the next half an hour about. I met her in my ashram in Portland, Oregon, where I lived in a yoga ashram, and she walked up to me and heard me on the phone talking about West Virginia and came up to me and said, "We were just talking about West Virginia." And long story short, Erica is like one of my favorite people in the world now, and one of the most amazing yoga teachers. And I say that after living in a yoga ashram and studying yoga for a long, long time and seeking out the best yoga teachers in the world that I could find. So I can't be more grateful that I met her and that we have her working in the Lotus Way and offering this training. So whether people are already yoga teachers or you're new to yoga, it is such an exciting opportunity. She's doing 8 weekend modules, is that right? Starting in April. All the information's on the website. And one of the reasons we're launching that right now is because we're doing this other educational platform, which is 800 hours, a way bigger educational system into my lineage as a yoga therapist. And this is something, I've been a yoga therapist for over 2 decades. I'm now an Oriental medicine doctor, so I hold these 2 lineages. But here, we're going to bring yoga therapy to West Virginia in a really big way. We want occupational therapists and physical therapists and massage therapists and yoga teachers and school teachers and dentists, and I don't care what your current profession is. We want to help people understand yoga from a really therapeutic perspective, to bring this type of work into our lives, and to really, obviously we love the 1-hour yoga classes and the yoga studios and what we're doing, but yoga is a therapeutic tool that we can all learn to use for ourselves and in our lives. Again, no matter what your job is, it can be beneficial. So we have a really long, it's a 2 to 3 year program, and I won't talk a lot about it, but it's on the website too. And again, this Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m., we're doing that, and I think Chase will post stuff, and
The
Melissa
link
will
is in the
post stuff.
comments.
Thank God for my young, amazing, techno-savvy students for posting stuff. So you can find all of that. I want to thank all the board of directors too. I'll cry if I talk about how cool it is that some of the coolest people I know are helping build this organization and build these educational platforms and build the services and help with a mission that I came back to West Virginia to help treat addiction and trauma in a state that has more addiction and trauma than anywhere in this entire country, not to mention some of the worst healthcare statistics in general. So me as a physician in my personal practice, my heart just wants to help in those ways and with these other services. So thank you guys all so much. And thank you to every single person out there that's watching, and you guys for coming in who didn't even know what you were getting yourselves into. You are, in whatever little or big ways, a part of a community, and I want you to really, from the bottom of my heart, feel that. Like, that's all we want, is to create a community of people who just care about each other and help support each other in the most beautiful, awesome, as natural as possible, healthy as possible ways as we can. And integrate that into everything, into helping each other go through surgeries, into, if we need pharmaceuticals, into the most modern technologies. It's not about that, but it's integrating the stuff that is it's out of balance right now. We need to bring this kind of community back into everything. So that's what the Lotus Way is about. All right, those are my announcements. Now, retrograde, woo! Okay, Mercury retrograde. I won't get into deep astrology here. Suffice to say, in the heavens it looks like Mercury's going backwards. It's actually not. They've scientifically proven that. But you know, when you're driving a car and you pull up to a stoplight and it feels like you or the person next to you is moving, but you're not, right? It's kind of one of those kind of things in the heavens. And it's disconcerting. It kind of is like, whoa, what's going on? Right? Well, that's happening from a few days ago until March 10th. So it's a little longer than that moment at the stoplight. But it is that feeling of things kind of going in directions they maybe shouldn't. And I already actually know a few people's stories in this room of what happened the day Mercury went retrograde. I won't call anybody out, but there's been car accidents. There have been legal things, a lot of miscommunications, technological breakdowns. Anything technological belongs to Mercury. So, you know, whether you believe in it or not, just check in between a few days ago and March 10th and see how that's going for you. You're not alone. And it's an opportunity. So a lot of us think of, Mercury retrograde, it's like this bad thing. But just like everything in life, and certainly with the Lotus Way, we always talk about, you know, the Lotus has its roots down in the murky, dirty, icky mud of life. Like, it's not about avoiding that stuff. There's actually a lot of fertile, literal soil in that. And in these times with things getting a little bit thrown around, it's an opportunity too, if we are careful and attentive and make adaptations and modifications to how we're doing things, especially when it comes to communicating and dealing with the outside world, or communicating with the inside world. That's communication too. So I wrote down a beautiful cliche saying: stop trying to calm the storm, calm yourself. The storm will pass. Right? So whatever is going on in our worlds, right? Let the chaos happen. Let things kick your butt, maybe. Try not to kick anybody else's butt. Right? And just try and, like, bravely, calmly wait out the storm. We cannot control all of the storms in us or around us. We can control how we are being while the storm is happening. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. I have a book that is really near and dear to my heart. Our practices are rooted in, obviously, a lot of stuff from China and a lot of stuff from India. There's a book from China called The Inner Trainings, or Inward Trainings. And one of my favorite lines says, "The vitality of all people inevitably comes from their peace of mind. When anxious, you use this guiding thread. When angry, you lose this basic point. When you're anxious or sad, pleased or angry, the way, or Tao, the Tao, does anybody know Taoism? This is from a Taoist text. The way has no place within you to settle. Love and desire must be stilled. Folly and disturbance must be corrected. Do not push, do not pull. Good fortune will naturally return to you, and the way will naturally come to you. So you can stay on and take counsel from it. If you are tranquil, that's the tricky part. If you are tranquil, then you will attain it. If you are agitated, then you will lose it. So, sounds so simple. And it is. And the trick is, how do you do that while the world is kicking your ass? But that is the simple trick, is to stay calm and tranquil. Now, it sounds simple, and the hard part is that we can't just automatically get there, which is why we call meditation a practice. We must practice our practices. And, coming to teachers or physicians like me for 1 or 2 sessions is cool. I do admit that every once in a while I perform miracles in 1 or 2 sessions. Mm-hmm. I really dig that when that happens. But my practice as a physician is also a practice, right? I mean, I'm better than I was 10 years ago or 2 years ago, and I'm going to be really cool by the time I'm 80. I can't hit the bullseye blindfolded every single time with every single patient. I have to practice, and I have to do my practices. And the more practices my patients do, the easier they make my job. So as both a physician and a teacher, that's the goal, is helping each other, all of us helping each other cultivate those practices, finding the tools and the tricks that work for each of us. And they're not going to be the same for all of us all the time. And even I have to adapt and change my practices according to, everything. Women, according to our menstrual cycles. Obviously, we have to adapt and change around kids and jobs, but also the seasons and also Mercury retrograde. We have to adapt that stuff. So this is why it's important to be calm and sensitive with ourselves and with each other. Calm and sensitive. Not hypersensitive, just sensitive. Right? Because hypersensitive, we get easily worked up. Too desensitized, and we're disconnected from everything. So we have to find that place to just be sensitive and calm. And realize that we are having individual experiences where we're all standing on the same ball, spinning and whirling through space. We're kind of having a collective experience while we're having this experience, and just keep that in check. And whatever we're experiencing right now in our lives, or any time, to just take a breath, take a conscious breath, take another conscious breath. And how many of our 76,000 breaths a day are we taking consciously? I mean, it's pretty cool that nature made it so we don't have to be conscious while we take every breath. But for those of you who were in here before doing Yoga Nidra, were you all able to really drop into your breath? Really feel where it was moving in your body? Were you able to direct your breath to places that you hadn't? It's pretty powerful. And we do it 76,000 times a day, probably 75,900 times unconsciously, right? So the more consciously we can realize we're in a body, it's animated by a breath, with all this stuff going on, just coming back into that conscious breath is miraculous. Again, practice.
So if somebody has never practiced, right, and this is what you just told them, okay, you have to make a choice in this moment when life is kicking your ass, what would be the one thing that you would say, right now, try this?
Sit down and take 10 conscious breaths. That's it. I don't care how I wouldn't even mouth, nose. I mean, y'all know me. I tell you which nostril to breathe out of half the time. Just sit down and take 10 breaths and just feel 10 breaths. Most people, if they haven't gone to a yoga class or haven't done these things, have never done that. My grandma was my grandma by the time she had me tell her to do something like that. And it changed her life. I mean, her doctors freaked out. I had the most simple little protocols, and all of a sudden she was skyrocketing. And I was like, well, it's pretty easy. If you're 78 years old and you've never taken a conscious breath in your life, taking 10 conscious breaths will change your life. It's that powerful. 10 breaths. Let me know how it works. If anybody out there is watching, I'm interested. I'm here for you. So, if you're struggling, let me see if I missed that, because I'm always, I write this stuff down and want to stay on script. I can't do it. Okay. I said a lot of conscious breaths. Tap into where you are within yourself and in relation to whatever's going on around you. See if you can find a way to really be more aligned with this place in the moment. Really be with where you are. Just got in a car wreck? How present can you get with that? Like, really be there. Just had your heart ripped out? Like, what's it feel like? We want to get away from it so fast. Guess what? When your heart breaks, it's got to break. We can't, it's supposed to break. It happens. If you experience love, you will experience heartbreak in this life. And we want to rush to the love and try and avoid the heartbreak. That's not how it works. But if we really can sit in our shit, sit in the times where things are going backwards or wrong, that's actually what makes life extraordinary. When we can do those things, getting good at all the good stuff is not where life becomes extraordinary. It's when we get good at the really shitty stuff. And not that we have to look forward to it, but we stop fearing it. We stop trying to avoid pain, trying to avoid the bad stuff. Because does anybody know anyone in the world who doesn't have a good list of shit that happens in their life? That doesn't exist. So why is it that we are still so afraid of that stuff? Mercury retrograde. That's where I'm coming back to, right? It's a hard time. And Mercury retrograde or not, the world is completely insane right now. It's a really crazy time. I have friends who have pretty much been traumatized since they can't even say his name was elected president. I don't mean to be minimizing it. I was working in a full-time medical clinic during that election, and for probably 3 months, when I'm doing my medical charting, you write in someone's chief complaint, it was election result PTSD. It was the real, people were coming in. I was in Portland, Oregon, a very progressive, very liberal place in a, naturopathic Chinese medicine clinic, and people were just total anxiety attacks, couldn't breathe, needed to leave the country. And it really hasn't gotten less crazy, right? So the thing about needing, and then we have times like this where it kind of gets a little more exacerbated and things in our personal lives get a little wonky. And I'm going to get back on script here. That's why the Lotus Way exists, right? That's why I have, in my heart, had this mission to create a conscious community. It's why I live in an ashram with my yoga guru. It's why I still spend as much time as I can with him and that community. It's why I have dedicated my life to surrounding myself with teachers and doctors and students and healers and colleagues. And, I kind of, in a way, uprooted a lot of other parts of my life to really make this my life's work, because it's just, that's what's missing in the world. That's why the world is so insane right now. That's why we are so sick. That's why I was struggling and suffering a lot. I won't tell you guys my lungs, but every joint in my body hurt all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That was just one of my serious diseases. I had a whole lot more. And why? I didn't understand. Why am I struggling so much? Why are my relationships so intense? Why? And my life's not perfect now. but I have absolutely the most exquisite freaking communities. I can't talk about my friends and my colleagues and my students and my teachers, and now even she's probably watching, even my mother. Love you, Mom. Like, even my family, who were my stickiest stuff that I had the hardest times with, that drove me crazy. Like, I have the sweetest experiences now, even with the hard stuff, because I practice a lot. And I have teachers that don't make me feel guilty, but like remind me to practice more. So when I decided to come back to West Virginia, I'm so grateful that there are teachers here and practitioners here, and we all feel like we need more, and then our students. And so how do we create this kind of community where we all have these kind of things to come to more often, whether it's on the internet or a class or individually, a network, a tribe of consciousness. So getting candid, being uncensored, unrepressed, messy, brutally honest with ourselves, with each other, vulnerable. Like, we have a culture that's told us all that's not okay, and it's the opposite. If we create conscious community that can, I get to show up as a teacher and also tell you all when I'm a mess and when I need help, right? That my students who are dealing with things that I get why they would feel shame or guilt or feel like they couldn't tell anybody, like, it's okay. You know, that this is what we need, all of us. So, bowing into that darkness, bowing into the retrogradeness, bowing to the challenges. That's how we feel and make an effort to reflect a bit, to connect. You all know, if you've seen the Lotus Ways tagline, is connect, align, flow, grow. The first word is connect. We have to really be sensitive and connect in. Then we can figure out how to align in ourselves with each other. Once we are doing that, and not just for a second, but like really established in practices that help us get connect and help us get aligned, then we'll feel flow. Water doesn't, we can't make things flow. That's the opposite of what flow is. Flow happens once we're connected, once we feel that alignment. So that's the yoga asanas, right? The word alignment. That's why we do those things. Once you do it, and you do it well, after lots of practice, then things just start feeling really groovy. So we need to be careful with how we communicate with ourselves and each other all the time, particularly right now. So I'm just bringing that in. Whatever's going on in your world, go out there, see how communication's working for you, see how people are talking to you, how you're talking back. Just be attentive to that. And honor that if you're listening to my voice right now, that means somewhere along the way you felt a calling to be connected a little more to something that all of us didn't feel other places. And so, to whatever degree I can and we can, nurture that connection. Like, honor it and really drop into it and come back to it and find ways to strengthen it. Whether it's one person that you see online right now sending off hearts, which is awesome, thank you, or someone you're sitting beside that you don't know, or you came in with a partner and you go out of here and think of things you can do sweetly in your home together to cultivate more harmony, or a place to practice. Maybe you don't have a space in your house to practice. Or picking up the phone and calling me or texting me, of course I'm here for you. And not to mention, you'll start seeing all these other amazing practitioners coming into the Lotus Way that are all going to be working together. So amazing to imagine teams of integrated healthcare practitioners working together on each other and with our patients and students. It's going to be a whole community. Pretty cool. And it's in West Virginia and beyond. We actually have representatives now in Colorado, California, Oregon, and Hawaii. And thanks to the World Wide Web, we can be connected to all y'all. So What else did I have to say here? You're not alone doing this work, and indeed, when we make this effort to come together in whatever ways we can with sincere intention to support each other's growth and healing, any of the darkness, any of the entanglements, the struggles in our individual lives will feel like less of a burden. And I will cry if I personally tell you my stories of how true that is right now, right? Because I got some stuff, and it's been kind of kicking my butt and making me feel like shit every once in a while. And if I get stuck in that, and even me, especially because I do live a pretty hermetic life, and I save a lot of time and space in my days for my practices, and yet when things start getting dark and I feel funky or I have a hard thing going on, I can kind of live in a little bubble. And then 5 days goes by and I go, wow, I'm stuck. And I didn't reach out. And I have like the coolest community in the world to reach out to. So that's me with all this support. So that's how I know. And then when I have a patient come in that I know doesn't have that kind of community, and I know people who can barely get out of their houses, and it's okay. I get it. Like, I didn't leave my house for 4 days last week, you know, and I felt bad. And all I did when I sent one text and was willing to be vulnerable and confess how, it's hard for me to not cuss, how bad I felt. And I was beating myself up really good because it was just, I was sure. I was like, screwed everything. You know, and all I did is start reaching out, and I got flooded with love. Right? And now I guarantee that flood for any single person who's hearing this, because you're part of this tribe. How cool is that? You know, I mean, it doesn't fix everything. No, and honestly, actually, a few people are helping me fix my problems, so I shouldn't say that. But it's not like overnight I reach out for help and then like everything that I was frustrated about goes away. But it does lessen it, because you have people that.
It feels good to even hear you say it. Like, I know for me, there have been people that are like, or even at times in this field that you feel like you have to be like, oh, I can't say that. I can't text Chase today and say, well, I stormed out of the house and got in the car and screamed, fuck. Like,
yeah, and how am I supposed to do it? You know, it was funny because one of my bad days, Melissa had just posted this, I have to say, quite a beautiful picture of me and my dog, you know, like, that my friend took, where it's like, I look so happy and sunny and glowy, and the whole world is seeing happy, glowy, strong, awesome Dr. George. And that day I hadn't left my house and was really upset with the whole world, you know. I'm like, oh, who am I? Am I her or am I her? You know, and so none of us are alone in that. I go there too. I go there a lot less often. I get out of there a lot more quickly. It is harder when Mercury goes into retrograde, and it's in February, and I'm in West Virginia, and I haven't seen the sun or salt water in a long time. That's my thing, but you know, and a handful of my own herbs and supplements that I knew I could use. It took me 4 days before I thought, oh, maybe I should practice what I preach. How about that? You know, so yeah. If any of you need to see me messy anytime, I'm that kind of teacher. Just give me a call. I'll share a mess with you so you feel better.
Sweet.
It does feel good.
Be careful what you ask for. I'll think you're like, oh my God. But anyways, so as I say all this, I really honor that all of us, our lives get busy. We don't always feel like we can even make time or take time for these kind of practices, or we don't have enough money for private sessions, or, I mean, there's all the reasons why we don't do our practices, why we don't even get out of our bed and just sit down and meditate for 20 minutes, much less call and schedule time with a therapist or come to a community class. I get it. So to whatever levels we can, I just want, I want us to leave here today, wherever you are in the world or in this room, knowing at least we can come back together on Wednesday nights for an hour, and wherever you are, that's part of why I conceded to this amazing technology being here right now, because sometimes I won't be in this room physically if I'm traveling, but I'm going to commit to this every week for an hour for us to have a place to come back to. And if any of you want more than that, I have teachers who do this also. that have really cool tribes and so I'm inspired by my teachers too, and I'm sure you all have other ways and things that you can do in your lives, but I'm supporting us doing as much of them as we can. And this community is about making that sustainable. Like, I mean, I've changed my life and my career path to do this 24/7. Not everybody will do that or can do that, but we're going to figure out how to integrate this with each individual. We want to be a support team to help people just have more space to come to where we can deal with the chaos of the world and the insanities that are in us and around us and not feel alone. And then practice. It is the only way out of the chaos. I don't know anybody who just does that. We have to practice. We never get to stop practicing, and then after a while the practice becomes the craving instead of the bad things that we crave to try and avoid growing. Right? I don't. That's at least I'm there. I mean, and it took me a long time, but I don't. Okay, still I crave a little sugar, but I don't crave caffeine anymore. I don't crave the alcohol. I don't crave the nicotine. I don't crave the drugs. I don't, crave the toxic relationships. And I still have to practice because it took me a long time to not crave all those plus more. Yeah, and I practice, and I will have to practice for the rest of my life, and I love that, and that's what I now crave. Right? And then all of a sudden I get to look around me and I see, oh my gosh, I've created a life where everybody around me, that's what they crave. And it's really quite a more exquisite experience and relationships to be surrounded in those ways. And then to the extent that I need to go out into the rest of the world, it's much better. I can come back to these practices. So that's what tonight is, at least a little bit, and our soul-centered Sangha, our communication time together, we're going to be careful with. And to that extent, we'll end with a little chant. You guys into chanting for a minute? Okay. So you have a sheet there. Om Namo Abhitavaya, Buddhaya, Dharmaya, Sanghaya. So Abhitavaya is a representation of divine consciousness. Buddhaya, everybody thinks that Buddha's name was Buddha, but Buddha's name was not Buddha. Siddhartha came out from under the Bodhi tree and everybody said, what happened to you? And Siddhartha said, I am Buddha. That just means I am awake. He just said, he wasn't telling everybody, hey, my name's Buddha now. He was saying, awake. So Buddhaya is meaning we're waking up. Dharmaya is Dharma is I'm here, I understand that I'm here to do my work, to do work. That's why we left the beautiful heavens and came into these crazy bodies, into a weird world full of all sorts of crazy shit to do Dharma. There's a purpose for us being here. So we're awake, we know we're here to do that work, Sanghaya, and we are not alone. We are doing this together. We did not teleport ourselves out of the heavens to an island all by ourselves to do our work. We're together. Buddhaya, Dharmaya, Sanghaya. So that's our chant. And we will all sing it together. I will start, but you guys chime in. Feel free to harmonize, sing loudly, sing softly. Hopefully just sing, whatever you want to do.
Buddhaya
Buddhaya, Dhammaya, Sanghaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya, Buddhaya, Dhammaya, Sanghaya. Om Namo, Namo Amitabhaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya, Buddhaya.